Good morning. It's Pause with Elizabeth Eleanor, and I would love for you to say hi in the chat and let us know where you're watching from. And if you are watching the replay, if you would put hashtag replay so that we know that you're here, because this is a community of conscious relationships, right? And this is all about connection. So the more we're connecting, even through the ethers, the more we are present, the more we are tuning in and focused on what we truly want to create and what we want to be conscious of, right? Is about elevation, is about focus, is about intention. So, being pause, let's just pause for a moment and take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just be present for a moment in this very space and time whenever you are watching. Our mind tends to drift. So this is an opportunity to align with what it is that you want to create, right? So today I want to talk about conscious relationships, but through focusing on aligned action. So let me see. I don't know about you guys. Tell me in the chat, is anyone actually having issues? My technology, I don't know if there's a retrograde happening at the moment, but my technology is playing havoc. Things not showing up, text messages disappearing, all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Share with me in the chat if you're noticing the wobble that's happening in the universe at the moment, because there's some crazy stuff going on out there, and we have just moved into Aquarius, right? So we are in the age of Aquarius, which is such a beautiful experience because the 60s even sung about them. And we have the opportunity to really focus in on what we want to create and to let go of all of the old negative patterns, all the things that don't serve anymore. So this is a really interesting time because this is a breaking down of societal norms as well. If you haven't been following me on other platforms, go and have a look at some of the other platforms that I'm on. On TikTok, I've been talking about ghosting, and the fact that we've even got a name for such a disruptive, emotionally immature experience is beyond me. Really, it really is. The fact that we've got something, so negative in our world that people feel like that they can, just let go and not communicate what's going on for them, or not sort of say, hey, it's not, I'm not feeling it anymore. Take care, love your life, see you later, is crazy. So yeah, jump over to TikTok if you're interested in following me on dating advice and tips and things like that, because I do a lot of that over there. And we've still got it, right? There was, in America, it was something that looked like it was going, and then lo and behold, it turns up again. So today we want to really talk about the importance of focusing on, like, future focusing on in our relationships, right? Now, let's just talk about what this means, because this is not setting up a plan and writing down, life goals, though it might be depending on your personality type, right? But what it actually is not holding something in stone and making it a responsibility. What it is creating a shared vision between you and whoever, it might be a love partner, a love relationship. It could even be between you and a child. It could be between two friends. It could be anyone that you want to have a conscious relationship with, right? Something that is going to be a shared vision that you're both heading towards. You know, what happens is when we are, and you know, I talk about this over and over and over again. If we're not creating our reality, there is somebody doing it for us. Now, there's two different things. It's either that someone is doing it for us, like the government, you know, social media, the local petrol station and advertising and marketing, you know, like you've got a vision that you want to lose weight, for example, but you go to the petrol station. If you haven't held that vision and made that choice every single day, your unconscious goes, there's 2 Mars bars, you know, one for free if you buy the first one with, you know, a cup of coffee or whatever it might be. That's a bargain, right? I'm going to do that. And next thing you know, you're you know, chugging down this chocolate, and afterwards you go into guilt, right? And shame and all of the things that come up when you're not in alignment with what you want to create in your life. And it's the same in relationships, right? When we don't have an intentional growth and an alignment towards what we want to create in our future, then things get in the way in our unconscious. So our unconscious is that little lower mind, that identity that is programmed from our childhood. You know, generally the unconscious is still holding on to things from 3, 4, 5 years old, right? And those things are holding us back and keeping us limited from experiencing magic and the exceptional energy that's available to us in higher frequencies. In you know, if we get stuck in our lower mind, in our unconscious, we are in duality. We are in that good and bad, right and wrong, all of those things, and we get stuck being influenced by the things that are happening in our world on a day-to-day basis. Share with me in the comments if it's something that you know, like if you're living in the now, that you can get influenced very easily by the things that are in your life, right? Because we get swayed. As soon as we wake up, our unconscious is already starting to dictate what we need to be doing, what happened yesterday, you know, how we feel based on those two things. You know, what are the things that we've got to do? You know, like say you wake up and you think, I've got to go and have a shower because I've got to get to work, or I've got to, you know, start my business or whatever it is. And next thing, we're bang, bang, bang in limitation and holding patterns that are influencing us and our future. And it's the same in relationship. When you step into a relationship, when you see someone again for the first time, so even, you know, you might be sleeping right next to someone and you open your eyes to that person, within moments, like microseconds of having a visual representation of that person, your unconscious is already making judgments, assessments, definitions about that person based on how you're feeling, right? And based on the feeling of the previous experience with that person. And so as you're holding on to those thoughts, you're not really creating your future. You're not really stepping into what it is, how you want to feel. Is taking ownership of that co-creation between you and somebody else, right? Not controlling the outcome, but just having a particular intention, dreams, goals, like not necessarily, you know, forcing timelines or outcomes, but actually holding the vision of what it is that you want from this relationship. Because when you hold that vision, that vision comes with thoughts, that vision comes with feelings, that vision comes with expansion, right? Because those visions, when you're in control of those visions are generally positive visions. And so now you're in an expanded space rather than the limitation of, you know, your unconscious that wants to bring you into those old patterns of what that person did or didn't do. And, you know, you might feel responsible for them. You might have a codependent relationship with them, right? And so it's holding the vision and being intentional with what it is that you want to create. And so why are some of these things, why does this matter? First of all, it builds a sense of direction, because when you're holding a vision and you're being purposeful with that vision, you're creating yourself. You know, you're holding a higher thought, and you're holding that higher thought in alignment with what you're experiencing in the now moment, right? And so in that process, there's security in the relationship, because now you're taking that on. You're actually making clear, set, purposeful intention of what you want to experience in this relationship, right? And so there are a couple of things that you can do to create this. And of course, this means that you need two to tango. You need two people to be holding this vision. Actually, that's not 100% true. You can actually hold the vision for a relationship even if the other person is wobbling, even if the other person is in their limitation and feeling wounded and broken and all of these things. If you feel like you've got a strong enough vision, you can hold a vision for the two of you. Now, there's a little bit of a note to take here, because you can't hold a vision for somebody else and not consider that they've got free will, right? So they have free will. If someone is in a bad spot, is feeling challenged in life, is feeling broken and wounded and all of those things, you can't fix them, right? And that's one of the challenges that a lot of people, and especially women, us women tend to think that we need to fix our partners. We take it on as a project, and we are not responsible for somebody else's feelings, thoughts, emotions, and what they are choosing to experience in life. That's between them and their soul. It's not something that you have to take on as your responsibility. However, how you behave in a relationship, how you choose to see that relationship. So you can see that relationship with lots of love, with open, strong communication, with lots of integrity, transparency, all of those things. You can hold that vision and you can be that person, and that can make a difference in that other person's life, because you're now holding this higher vision and not allowing them to pull you down into their vision of themselves. When you hold that higher vision and you connect to what you see as their highest potential and your highest potential, then that can override the and awaken somebody else in a relationship, right? Is quite an interesting process to go through. But you've got to have the strength and the intention to go with it. Because we can quite easily be held back by somebody else's thoughts, right? So somebody else might be, feeling really bad about their life because they've just lost their job, or their business isn't going the way that they want to, and so they go into these old patterns of, things are really tight at the moment, things are really hard, you know, that person didn't ring me back and I really need to get that invoice to them, or whatever it might be. And you can get caught up in that, right? You can get caught up in that worry and doubt, or you can be in an interdependent relationship, knowing that you're not responsible for the other person, and hold that vision of knowing that things will work out exactly the way they need to, containing yourself with more and more of your own light, knowing that they have the ability to work this out without you, with, you know, giving compassion and love and support, right? But not necessarily taking on ownership for somebody else's feelings. Now, this is how you can tune into that future focus. And when two people are doing it together, it's really powerful when you've already held this vision. So you could quite easily, like, one of the things, Tim and I had our 3rd anniversary last week. We met 3 years ago on the beach. And so we went out for dinner. He bought me some beautiful flowers. You know, 3 is a big sacred number. And we sat down and we discussed what has happened in 3 years. We've had a lot of changes in 3 years, and what we want to see in our relationship in the next 3 years. So what we want to create in this first year that's coming up, this new one, right? And where we want to see ourselves in the next 3 years after this, so 6 years later. And we both envisioned that and shared our thoughts around that, and what we believed, and our feelings, and we created this new energy between the two of us, right? Now we've got a future focus. And what happens is when you have that future focus and you start to wobble in the relationship, something comes up on, you know, like life happens, there's challenges, all of the things that can happen. When you have those moments, then having that goal and that vision of what you want to create instead gives you the opportunity to tune back into that, right? Because now you've got a reference point. Now you've got something that you really want to create. And now you can, you know, touch your nose is something I teach my clients. And in the process, be self-aware of what's going on, and then you can move into what it is that you want to create instead, right? So the other part of this is being aware that in a conscious relationship, you want to balance the difference. There's a difference between your individual goals and visions, what you want for yourself, and what your shared goals are. So you have these other goals that are just for you, right? You don't want to lose your identity in a relationship, because then this codependency starts happening, and through that process you start losing yourself, and that's when the wobble really starts happening, because now your identity is very reliant on somebody else, and other people will always fail us. When we're putting our energy towards somebody else to support us emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, all of those things, now we're relying on somebody that is also broken, instead of really connecting in with our higher self and our own personal truth. Because our own personal truth is, holding on to that light, being our higher self, really connecting in to what our soul's path is. And when you are reliant on somebody else, now you've given your energy away to somebody else. You're giving your power away, instead of keeping your power connected to the source that is your, I call it the superconscious, right? Your higher self energy that knows all the wisdom and the truth of what you're here for. So this week actually is on tomorrow. Tomorrow we're actually doing our monthly mixer, the very first one for the year, and we're talking about rewriting that Wonderland story, the story that you want to create for yourself and for your partner. So you might have a partner now, but you may be wanting to attract a partner this year. Then writing out your story and really connecting in with what your soul actually wants in life, not from your limitation, and we're going to talk about that on the call, not from a place of limitation where you're trying to fix a behavior, trying to fill a void. Really connecting in with what your soul is here to do, its path, its mission, its potential. What we're going to be doing tomorrow night on rewriting or writing your Wonderland is we're going to do a shamanic journey where we're going to create and really tap into that part of ourselves, our higher self, and find out exactly what 2025 is all about for us and hold that vision throughout the year. So if you're interested and would love to join our Wonderland tomorrow, our monthly mixer, then just throw in Wonderland into the chat and we will send you the link. I would love to hear what you got out of today, what sort of value you got, what you're going to future focus, what are you going to start envisioning for your relationships. And I will catch you tomorrow night on the call. Take care.